They trusted him with their lives. The ocean trusted him with their deaths. This was supposed to be a rescue mission, but one of them had already sold the team to the enemy.
Hold steady, approaching the vessel!
Turned red.
When's it,
They realized the trail sinks faster.
It's going up, Bryce! Debris incoming, hold on! The hull's breached! It's sinking!
Ordinary people take a moment to like and subscribe. Stories like this remind us how small act can ruin everything. The ocean was calm. Too calm. Captain Ethan Cole had learned the hard way that still water was never a blessing. It was a warning. Captain, you need to hear this. Ethan turned toward the communications console. The young operator's voice trembled, fingers frozen above the screen. What is it? Ethan asked. The operator swallowed. Distress signal just came through. Civilian research vessel. Coordinates are out past exclusion zone. Static crackled through the speakers. Then a woman's voice, hoarse, terrified. Anyone, please, taking on water, people trapped below. The signal cut out. Silence. Ethan stared at the map as the coordinates blinked red like a wound. That stretch of sea was notorious. Pirates, mercenaries, unmarked patrols. No one drifted there by accident. How long since last contact? Ethan asked. 12 hours, sir. Ethan exhaled slowly. 12 hours in those waters. He didn't finish the sentence. Sound general alert, he said. Prep the iron resolve. We move now. The deck erupted with controlled chaos. Boots thundered. Gear clanged. Men and women who had trained together for years snapped into formation without a word. Lieutenant Marcus Hale stepped beside Ethan, rain already misting his dark uniform. Storm's building, Marcus said calmly. Sea's gonna turn ugly fast. Ethan glanced at him. Marcus looked the same as always. Steady, unreadable, reliable. The man who had pulled him from a burning hull 5 years earlier. We don't leave civilians to die because of weather, Ethan replied. Marcus nodded. Never said we should. But as the ship pulled away from port, Marcus's jaw tightened. His hand brushed the inside of his sleeve, where a thin, encrypted transmitter rested against his skin. No one noticed. Hours later, night swallowed the sea. The iron resolve cut through towering waves, lights low, engine steady. Thunder rolled overhead like distant artillery. Sergeant Lena Brooks leaned against a railing, staring into the darkness. You ever feel like the ocean's watching us? She muttered. Corporal Reyes laughed nervously. That's just your imagination. No, Lena said quietly. Imagination doesn't feel this heavy. Ethan stepped onto the deck. Status report. 10 minutes to target. Marcus said. No radar contacts. Too quiet. Ethan frowned. Quiet seas kill more soldiers than loud ones. The ship slowed. Then, there, someone shouted. A shape emerged from the darkness. The research vessel, half submerged, listing hard to port. Its lights flickered weakly, like a dying heartbeat. And then they saw movement. People, waving, screaming. Ethan's chest tightened. Launch rescue boats. Now. As the first boat hit the water, a voice crackled through Ethan's headset. Marcus. Captain, I'm picking up something strange. Signal interference. Before Ethan could respond, boom, the sea exploded. A fireball ripped upward as the rescue boat vanished in a wall of flame and water. Men screamed. Debris rained down. Contact! Contact! Someone shouted. Ethan's heart slammed. Who fired that? This is a rescue op. Another explosion tore through the waves. Closer this time. Gunfire erupted from the darkness. Enemy boats emerged like sharks, weapons blazing. This was a setup, Lena yelled. Ethan turned toward the command deck. Hale, get me eyes on. Marcus's voice cut in, sharp and controlled. Captain, we're under coordinated attack. Hostiles knew our approach vector. Ethan froze. Only one thing made that possible. Someone had told them. The storm broke loose like it had been waiting for permission. Rain hammered the deck. Waves crashed over the hull. The iron resolve shuddered as bullets tore through steel. Medic, over here. I can't feel my legs. Keep firing. Ethan dragged a wounded soldier behind cover as sparks flew overhead. Captain, Lena said breathlessly, clutching her arm. "This isn't random. They're hurting us." "What do you mean?" "They're hitting only our exposed angles. They know exactly where we'll move next." As if on cue, Marcus's voice filled the comms again. "All units, reposition to the east side. That's our weakest enemy pressure." Ethan hesitated. Something about Marcus's timing felt wrong. "Repeat that," Ethan said slowly. Marcus replied instantly. "East side. Trust me. Trust me." Ethan looked out into the storm. The east side was exposed open water. No cover, no defensive advantage. "Negative," Ethan said. "Hold position." A pause. Just half a second. Then Marcus spoke again, colder now. "Captain, with respect, hesitation will get people killed." Ethan's stomach dropped. Marcus had never questioned him in the field. Never. Before Ethan could respond, gunfire erupted exactly where Marcus had suggested they move. Enemy rounds shredding the empty space. Lena's eyes widened. "Captain, if we'd moved, we'd be dead," Ethan finished. The realization hit him like a wave. He turned sharply. "Lena, get me internal signal logs." Quietly, she nodded and disappeared into the smoke. Another blast rocked the ship. Ethan stumbled, catching himself on the railing. "Hail!" Ethan barked into the comms. "Get to the deck. Now." Marcus emerged moments later, rain streaming down his face, weapon slung casually. "What's wrong?" Marcus asked, feigning concern. Ethan stepped closer. "How did they know our frequency?" Marcus met his gaze. Didn't blink. "They're professionals." "How did they know our formation?" Ethan pressed. "Experience." Ethan's voice dropped to a whisper. "How did they know where we weren't?" Marcus smiled faintly. "You're imagining things, Captain." Before Ethan could respond, Lena burst from below deck, eyes wild. "Captain," she said quietly, holding up a tablet. "Encrypted outbound signal. Origin Marcus Hale." The rain seemed to stop. The ocean roared. Marcus sighed, as if disappointed. "Well," he said softly, "I was hoping you wouldn't find out until later." Ethan stared at the man he had trusted with his life. "Why?" Ethan asked. His voice cracked. "Why us?" Marcus's smile faded. "Because loyalty doesn't feed your family. Because this war doesn't end. Because they offer me a way out." "You sold us out," Ethan said. Marcus leaned closer. "I chose survival." He raised his weapon, and the sea raged on, hungry for what was about to come. The moment Marcus raised his weapon, the storm seemed to inhale. Thunder cracked so close it rattled teeth. Ethan didn't move, not because he was afraid, but because some part of him still hoped this wasn't real. "Put it down," Ethan said quietly. Marcus laughed, shaking his head. "You always did that. Talk soft when things are already burning." Around them, the deck was chaos. Gunfire, wounded soldiers, alarms screaming, but the space between the two men felt sealed off from the world. "You don't have to do this," Ethan said. "We can still get out of this together." Marcus's eyes flickered, just for a second, then hardened again. "There is no together, Ethan," he snapped. "There never was. There was command, and those of us expected to bleed for it." Ethan stepped closer, rain pouring down his face. "I bled with you. I carried you when your leg was shattered in the Black Strait. I fought to keep you in this unit, when command wanted you gone." Marcus's voice rose. "And what did that cost you?" "Nothing. But it cost me everything staying loyal to a system that replaces us like broken equipment." Another explosion rocked the ship. A wave slammed over the deck, throwing both men off balance. Lena's voice screamed through the comms. "Captain, we're losing the aft section." Ethan didn't look away from Marcus. "Help us stop this," he said. "End it now." Marcus lowered his weapon slightly. For one fragile moment, hope lived. Then a hostile round slammed into the railing inches from Ethan's head. Marcus didn't flinch. "You see," Marcus said, "they're already here. And when this is over, I walk away alive." He turned, shouting into his comm device. "Now, sink the ship." Enemy rockets streaked toward the Iron Resolve. Ethan lunged, The two men collided, slamming into the deck as rain and fire mix around them. Marcus punched hard, years of training behind it. Ethan staggered but drove his shoulder into Marcus's chest. They rolled. Marcus slammed Ethan's head against the steel. You should have retired when you had the chance. Ethan headbutted him back. You should have trusted the people who die for you. Marcus reached for his sidearm. Ethan kicked it away. They froze, both breathing hard, faces inches apart. You're not a villain, Ethan said through clenched teeth. You're just tired. Marcus's eyes burned. Tired men don't get mercy. He shoved Ethan away and sprinted toward the edge of the deck as enemy boats closed in. Ethan scrambled up. All units. Hale is hostile. Do not follow his commands. Confusion rippled through the team. Marcus reached the railing and turned back. You won't win this, he shouted. You're already dead. Ethan raised his rifle. His finger trembled, but before he could pull the trigger, a massive wave rose behind Marcus, like a wall of judgment. The sea struck. Marcus was lifted off his feet and hurled against a railing, then dragged halfway over the edge. He screamed, Ethan! The name cracked something deep inside Ethan. Marcus dangled above the black water, fingers slipping, eyes wide with terror. Help me, Marcus cried. Please, don't let it end like this. Ethan ran to the edge and grabbed his wrist. The storm roared. The ship groaned. Everything slowed. You betrayed us, Ethan said softly. Marcus sobbed. I was scared. I didn't want to die here. Ethan swallowed hard. Neither did they. A final wave slammed the hull. Marcus's grip broke, and the sea claimed him. The sea was calm again, too calm for what it had taken. Morning light spilled across the deck of the Iron Resolve, revealing the damage in cruel detail. Scorched steel, twisted railings, dry blood washed pale by salt water. The storm was gone, as if it had never existed, leaving only survivors to carry the memory. Captain Ethan Cole stood at the bow, hands gripping the coal metal rail. Behind him, the ship was quiet, not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the kind that follows screams. Bootsteps approached. Sir, Sergeant Lena Brooks said softly. Ethan didn't turn. Report. She hesitated, then spoke anyway. 6 confirmed dead. 3 swept overboard during the first blast. 2 from the engine room. 1, her voice cracked. 1 from the rescue boat. Ethan closed his eyes. And the civilians? All accounted for, Lena said. Shaken. Alive. Ethan exhaled slowly. Good. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Lena asked a question she'd been holding back. What about Hale? Ethan's jaw tightened. He didn't make it, he said. Lena nodded. She didn't ask how. Some answers carried too much weight. When the ship docked later that day, there were no cameras waiting, no banners, no applause, just gray concrete medical stretchers and officers who avoided eye contact. The mission would be called a success. Ethan watched as the wounded were carried off first, then the covered bodies. 6, each one a story that wouldn't be finished. An officer from command approached, clipboard in hand. Captain Cole, there will be a full inquiry. We'll need your statement regarding Lieutenant Hale. Ethan met his eyes. You'll have it, every detail. The officer studied him for a moment, then nodded and walked away. Lena stepped beside Ethan again. They'll probably classify most of it, she said. They always do. Truth doesn't disappear just because it's buried, Ethan replied. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He sat alone in his quarters, staring at his hands. They were clean now, but he could still feel Marcus's grip, slipping, desperate, human. Help me. The words echoed louder than the storm ever had. Ethan remembered Marcus years ago, laughing too loud in the mess hall. Marcus dragging him from wreckage. Marcus swearing they'd make it out alive together. He whispered into the empty room, I would have died for you. The room gave no answer. Weeks later, the official report came back. Lieutenant Marcus Hale was listed as killed in action during a hostile maritime engagement. No mention of betrayal. No mention of encrypted signals. No mention of the choice Ethan had made. The truth was locked away behind clearance levels and stamp files, but it followed Ethan everywhere. One evening, long after the bruises faded, Ethan stood alone by the shoreline. The same ocean, different day. Lena joined him, hands buried in her jacket pockets. "You keep coming back here," she said. "It reminds me," Ethan replied. "Of him. Of all of them." She nodded. "Command says you're up for commendation." Ethan scoffed softly. "For surviving? For holding the team together." Ethan looked out at the horizon. "I held his hand while he fell." Lena turned to him fully. "And you held the line so the rest of us could live." Ethan said nothing. The waves rolled in gently, indifferent, eternal. After a long pause, Lena spoke again. "If you had let him go earlier, before the sea did, could you live with that?" Ethan swallowed. "I don't know," he said honestly. "I only know I couldn't save everyone." Lena placed a hand on his shoulder. "No one ever does." As the sun dipped low, Ethan stood taller. He wasn't absolved. He wasn't forgiven. But he was still standing. And tomorrow, if the call came again, he would answer. Because war doesn't end with justice. It ends with survivors, carrying the weight of those who didn't make it back. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you.